Moorhen and Coot are two very common water birds that can sometimes cause confusion, especially when unfamiliar young birds are encountered. Despite the fact these birds are usually seen on or near the water and that they often associate with ducks, they're not at all related, but they are in fact members of the rail and crake family. Both of them are present over most of the country, except for the north and western extremes and the highest areas. And they can be found on ditches, ponds, marshland, rivers and lakes, with Coot generally favouring more open water and Moorhen preferring more heavily vegetated areas, but they are often found together and frequently interact with each other as well. Neither has webbed feet, and both have sharp beaks and an interesting frontal shield across the forehead. Both birds also appear black from a distance. In adult plumage, they should be very easy to separate. Coots are, as they appear from a distance, dark coal grey and matte black all over, and their beaks are white, as is the large shield in front of the forehead. Their tails are very short and invariably held low to the water, and they swim with a rhythmic bobbing of the head, and they often dive for food. They're very buoyant and quickly bob back to the surface, sometimes even re-emerging tail first. In winter, Coot can form large flocks, especially on some reservoirs or large lakes, but during the breeding season they're exceedingly aggressive and territorial, with major fights breaking out frequently, and the sight of two birds squaring up against each other, with head lowered and wings raised across their backs, is a common one. When seen on land, Coot are stocky, blunt-ended birds with enormous feet, which are a dull greeny-grey in colour, with characteristic lobes on the toes, and a walking action that appears clumsy and inelegant. Newly hatched Coot are strange-looking little things that are covered in coal-grey fluff all over, except their heads, which are covered in bright orangey strands, which shades to red on the forehead. They very quickly grow, however, and they assume their juvenile plumage, with smoky grey feathers all over and pale whitish areas, particularly on the head, neck and chest. They lack an obvious shield on the forehead, so the shape of the bird is key, with a stocky profile, domed back and that very short tail. They are surprisingly vocal birds, with a very wide repertoire. The commonest calls are a loud, annoyed-sounding coot, coot, which can be repeated at varying intervals. A second characteristic call is a short, explosive, far-carrying and metallic speak that often gives away the location of birds hidden in waterside vegetation. Moorhen are somewhat smaller birds and immediately appear more elegant than Coot. Although they also appear black from a distance, a closer inspection will show that they are a handsome blue-grey colour with a dark brown back and wings, and the two different colours are separated by a smart broken white line along the flanks. Another key difference is the tail. Moorhen have much longer, more in proportion rear ends and tails with really obvious white under-tail feathers with a central black stripe. Unless the birds are totally relaxed and unaware of your presence, they will be flicking their tails up, revealing that white in flashes to let you know that you have been seen. The red forehead shield is obvious and grades into a yellow bill, and the head bobs in an elastic way when swimming. When seen on land, Moorhen look far more comfortable than Coot. In fact, they often forage on land, sometimes some way from water, and they happily walk and even run about. The feet are large, but the toes are long and thin and don't seem to get in the way as they do for Coot. That tail flicks constantly when walking, and the legs are a brighter yellowy green colour, and on occasion you will get a flash of a red garter at the top of the leg above the knee. The chicks are similar to Coot, but without the orangey collar, and although they lack a shield, they do show a red beak with a yellow tip, a hint of the adult colouring. Juvenile birds, like Coot, are dull-coloured, but with a brown overall colouring, pale below on the face, neck and chest, but as they grow and gain independence, the main feature for identification should be their shape, the obvious white undertail and that separating white line down the flanks. Moorhen are also vocal birds and, as with Coot, there is a wide variety of calls encountered. Moorhen calls are less clear and metallic than Coot's. The most frequent is a burry creak or crek call that can be uttered singly or in groups, and another one is a rapid ki-hee-hee, often uttered by birds as they walk away from you, tail flashing.